Another objection that I sometimes see is that many people, you find them, faithful people, good practicing Muslims, is that with the laws of fiqh, with their ibadat, their rituals, sometimes they're too lenient. Or in other words, they're careless when it comes to the laws of the fiqh, of jurisprudence. For example, when he or she's doing wudu, they don't care if they do the right hand first or the left hand. Should they do it this way or that way? Should they wash their hand once or twice? Should they wipe or wash their feet? To them, who cares? Just do wudu and khalas. And they're very lenient, careless. They're not very precise when it comes to the laws of fiqh. Even when they're told, sometimes there's ignorance, they don't know. Even when you tell them, they don't care. It's they say, who cares? The difference isn't too much. Or in their salah, you find that their salah is not, they're not praying in the correct way. When they have doubt in the raka'at, when we have doubt between is it first raka'at or second raka'at, they don't really care. We have to be very precise in these, but they don't care. They're very lenient and careless. With, for example, najasa and tahara, the ahkam of najasa and tahara, you find many Muslims, practicing Muslims, they're careless. They don't know the laws, and even when you tell them, they still are a little careless. I remember once I read a book of this so-called Muslim reformer who was trying to reform Islam, and then one chapter it was all against fiqh. He says the scholars have complicated our lives with fiqh. And I remember he mentioned this example. He said, let's say Maghrib is at 7 p.m. He says, come on, you're telling me that if I break my fast at 6:58 or 6:59, God is going to burn me in hell for 1 or 2 minutes? So you see, the point that I'm trying to make, it's that carelessness in his attitude. Now, who cares 1, 2 minutes? Obviously that same attitude with his flight, and he'll miss his flight. But with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're so lenient, and we don't care 1 minute, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Unfortunately, sometimes the hijab, some sisters, they're not careful with the hijab and precise. Some hair shows, is God going to put me in hell because of 2, 3 pieces of hair? So it's that overall attitude that we're kind of careless when it comes to fiqh, and when we're told, we say, you know what, Allah is merciful, He's not going to care about these small details. Now, the problem with this attitude and with this objection is that sometimes even the small discrepancies will invalidate your ahkam, and it may invoke God's wrath. There is a hadith from Imam Ali where he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hid 4 things in 4. And one of the things that he says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ أَخْفَى غَضَبَهُ فِي مَعْصِيَتِهِ. He says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hid His anger in all of the different ways we can disobey Him. So basically, if I commit 1 haram, 3, 4, it doesn't mean Allah is going to condemn me to hell. But what the hadith is saying, be careful, don't belittle any law. Just say, who cares about this law? God isn't going to, because it may be that specific law that will make or break your day on the Day of Judgment. So the Imam says, don't have that carelessness attitude, because it's that specific law where you find not important, but it's important to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're not the judge. When God gives an order, khalas, we obey all the laws in the same way. We can't say this one is more important than that one, or this one is less. They're all equal in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's number one. Number two, when you go to the ahadith of the Imams themselves, the Imams, they were first of all very, very precise, and they told us to be precise. So when we have this careless attitude where, who cares if I do wudu this way or that way, if I eat this or I don't eat that, or if this is najis or tahir, if I pour water once or twice. If I have this careless attitude, I'm going against the teachings of the Imam. The Imam spent so much time teaching the delicate differences, and do this, don't do that, and then we throw all that away. All the hard work of the Imams, we say it's not important. We're supposed to learn from the Imams. There are times when the Imam says you can be lenient in this mas'ala. Yeah, if you're a little off, it's okay. But there's other times when the Imams were strict. If you're 1 centimeter off, you have to redo your amal. If you're 1 minute off, if you pray 10 seconds before dhuhr time, Salatul Dhuhr, the Imams tell us, if you intentionally do that, your salah is batil. So many times we have to be careful in the masail of fiqh. Because in certain times, if you aren't doing it as the Imams did it, as the Quran says it, you have to redo all of that. This is the teaching of the Imams themselves. They were strict with many of the masail. So we can't have this careless attitude where, who cares, you know, I pour water once or twice, if I do my right hand or left hand. And the only way for me to, you know, do it the right way, first I have to learn the masail of fiqh, which most people don't take the time to learn. And number two, I have to be very strict with them. I have to be careful with them. I know many faithful individuals who are very, very strict when it comes to fiqh. Sometimes you can't even tell the difference between the two questions he's asking because it's so delicate. But they want to go to that level of detail with the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They want to share that, they want to show Allah that I care about your laws. Even if it's a string, you know, if it's that tiny, the difference, I want to stay away from it, or I want to do it. Even if there's a 1% chance, I want to do it. This is obviously the spirit that Allah loves, that you show that, you know, that love and that devotion, that commitment, just like some of us have with money. If it's about 1 cent more, yeah, I'm going to go and research it and make sure that I get it. So we have that, you know, careful attitude and with money and personal things, but with laws we're very lenient and we say, who cares?